Caitlin Clark was just 17 when everything changed. It was an unusually cold March morning in Des Moines, Iowa. Her sneakers echoed off the hardwood floors of the gym like a ticking clock. The state championship was just days away, but Caitlin wasn't thinking about banners or trophies. She was thinking about her future and whether she was even good enough to chase the impossible. She just finished another punishing solo workout before school. 3 hours of relentless drills, free throws, fadeaways, and pull-up threes from NBA range. Her fingers were cracked, her legs sore, but Caitlin didn't stop because there was something she was chasing, or rather, someone, Kobe Bryant. He had been gone for just over a month. The tragedy still didn't feel real. To Caitlin, he was more than a basketball legend. He was a blueprint, a mindset, a myth that whispered, greatness requires obsession. She had grown up mimicking his every move. The fadeaway with a hand in the face, the steely glare, the fist pump. Even as a young girl in a sea of boys, she played like she belonged, because Kobe made her believe she did. But now he was gone, and her dream of ever meeting him, gone too, or so she thought. That day at school, everything changed. Caitlin's phone buzzed with a notification from her coach. She blinked at the message, heart skipping a beat. Check your email. Someone from the Mamba Academy reached out. Her breath caught. She ran to the locker room, opened her inbox, and there it was, an invitation to a private youth mentorship camp in California. The subject line read, Mamba Legacy Invite. You've been noticed. Caitlin stared at the screen. She had to read it 3 times. Was this a mistake? Kobe had passed. The academy was closed, but the message was real, and it was signed by Vanessa Bryant. She clicked open the details. It was a tribute camp, a secret project Kobe had been working on before his death, gathering the fiercest, most driven young women in basketball to carry on the Mamba legacy. Caitlin had been one of his picks, one of the few. Her fingers trembled. For months, she'd been questioning whether she was on the right path, if she was doing enough, if her obsession was worth it. But Kobe had seen her before the world ever did. He had seen her. That night, Caitlin couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like she was already on a court under the lights. She thought about all the early mornings, the missed parties, the nights she cried from exhaustion. Now it all made sense. She was going to California, but she had no idea what was waiting for her there. 2 weeks later, Caitlin stepped off a private shuttle and into the heart of the Mamba Sports Academy in Thousand Oaks. She was surrounded by towering pines and endless silence until she opened the doors. Inside, the gym pulsed with energy. The walls were lined with banners, and the hardwood gleamed like a stage. A dozen of the most elite high school female players from around the country were already there, all hungry, all chasing something bigger. But Caitlin didn't feel out of place. She felt at home. A woman with a clipboard approached her, eyes kind and firm. You must be Caitlin, she said. Kobe had notes on you. Said you reminded him of himself. Caitlin froze. She swallowed hard. This wasn't just a camp. This was a message from beyond. A torch passed down from the greatest to the next. Every moment that week was intense. Drill after drill. Scrimmage after scrimmage. Coaches pushed them to the brink. There were no cameras. No media, just sweat, tears, and the sound of basketballs pounding like war drums. And then, on the third night it happened, they were told to report to the film room. When Caitlin walked in, the lights were dimmed and a giant screen flickered to life. There, in high definition, was Kobe Bryant, a pre-recorded message. Caitlin's breath caught. Kobe looked straight into the camera, eyes fierce, voice calm. If you're watching this, it means you made it. I saw something in you. All of you. Not just skill, but fire, hunger, the kind that doesn't quit when it gets hard. The room was silent. I built this camp because I believe in women's basketball. I believe in you. Every legend was once a kid with a dream. So dream bigger, work harder, be relentless, because no one will hand you greatness. You have to take it. Caitlin's eyes welled up. And then Kobe said something that hit her like a freight train. Caitlin Clark, don't let up. You got it. You remind me of a younger me. Now show the world what that means. Her heart stopped. The girls turned to look at her. Her breath came shallow. Kobe said, her name. The silence in the room was broken by a single clap, then another, and then the entire room erupted into applause. That night, Caitlin stepped outside, looked up at the stars, and let the tears fall. Kobe had seen her, believed in her, and now it was time to live like it. But just as the moment felt like destiny, something unexpected shattered the calm. A man in a Lakers jacket approached her. Caitlin, he said, there's something else. Something Kobe left behind for you. We need to talk. Alone. Her stomach dropped, and in that instant, Caitlin knew this was only the beginning. The man's voice was steady, but Caitlin's pulse was anything but steady. She followed him down a quiet hallway in the Mamba Academy, heart pounding like it was game time. He didn't say another word, just walked with calm intensity that told her this was serious. They reached a small room tucked away in the back. It didn't look like much, just a table, 2 chairs, and a dusty whiteboard. But on that table was a black envelope with gold trim. Her name was written across the front, in Kobe's unmistakable handwriting. Caitlin, the man later introduced as Marco, Kobe's longtime assistant, gestured for her to sit. This was meant for you, he said quietly. He recorded something before he passed, something private. He told me to deliver it if you ever made it here. Caitlin could barely breathe. She opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a handwritten letter, a flash drive, and a faded Polaroid of a younger Kobe grinning with Gigi on his shoulders. Tears threatened to spill again. She picked up the letter first. Caitlin, if you're reading this, it means I was right about you. You don't just play the game. You live it. You bleed for it. That's rare. And I know what that's like. I built this place for players like you. But more than that, I saw something in your eyes. That edge, that obsession, that love, the kind that makes the game your heartbeat. I want you to watch the video. But I also want you to remember this. You don't need permission to be great. You don't need anyone to say it's your time. You take your time. You make it your time. Be unapologetic. Be fierce. Be you. And if anyone tells you women's basketball isn't worth watching, make them watch. Much love, Kobe. Caitlin didn't even realize she was crying until a tear hit the page. She clutched the letter to her chest, then plugged the flash drive into the laptop Marco provided. The screen flickered. There he was again. Kobe, in a black hoodie, seated in a familiar-looking gym. But this time, his tone was different, more personal. This isn't for the public. This is just between us. Caitlin, when I watched your tape, I saw more than talent. I saw intention. Every move you made was precise, like you were sculpting your legacy in real time. That kind of mindset, it's rare even in the NBA. You have a choice. You can play it safe, be great, win some games, or you can go beyond, be feared, be legendary. Kobe leaned closer to the camera, and that means pressure. People will criticize you for being too intense, too confident, too visible, especially as a woman. So here's what I need you to remember. Don't dim your light, ever. He paused and smiled softly. I wish I could be there in person. I wish Gigi could have seen you play. She would have loved you. The screen faded to black. Caitlin sat in silence, the weight of it all pressing on her chest. This wasn't just a compliment. It was a call to arms. Kobe was passing the torch. Over the next few days, something shifted in Caitlin. Every scrimmage at the academy became a battlefield. She wasn't just playing anymore. She was declaring. Teammates noticed. Coaches pulled her aside. You're different, one said. It's like you flipped a switch. Caitlin didn't respond. She didn't need to. She was locked in. One night, after a particularly intense scrimmage, she found herself alone on the court. She grabbed a ball, stepped to the elbow, and shot the same fadeaway she practiced 1,000 times. Swish. Again. Swish. She whispered under her breath. Mamba mentality. And then a voice cut through the silence. That shot's killer. But your handle's getting sloppy when you drive left. Caitlin turned. It was Sabrina Ionescu, one of Kobe's most well-known ments. She smiled. "You've got the fire. But fire needs control, too." Caitlin was stunned. Sabrina walked over, spinning a ball on her finger. "Kobe told me about you. He said you reminded him of, well, me when I was your age. Wild, untamed, obsessive." Caitlin blinked. "You trained with him, right?" "Every week," Sabrina nodded. "But he didn't just train us physically. He trained our minds. He made us confront the parts of ourselves we were too scared to face." She bounced the ball once and passed it to Caitlin. "Let's work." And just like that, Caitlin found herself being drilled by the best. Footwork, shot angles, mental reads. For hours. That night, her muscles ached, but something inside her burned brighter than ever. The final day of the camp arrived. The last scrimmage. College scouts would be watching virtually. But Caitlin wasn't thinking about that. She was thinking about Kobe. When the whistle blew, she went to work. Fadeaways, no-look passes, pull-up threes from Steph Curry range. But it wasn't flashy, it was intentional. She wasn't playing for attention. She was playing for legacy. At the end of the game, as the buzzer sounded, Caitlin walked to the center of the court. The gym went quiet. She dropped to one knee and pointed upward. Then she whispered, "Thank you, Kobe." After the camp ended, Caitlin flew home. But something had changed. Not her skills, her spirit. She was no longer chasing a dream. She was a dream. The whisper started soon after. Coaches called her a generational shooter. Pundits compared her to legends. But Caitlin never responded, because she already knew who she was. And yet, something was still coming. Something she didn't expect. Months later, deep in her freshman season, a reporter asked her a question mid-interview. "Is it true that Kobe Bryant left you a second message?" Caitlin froze. She hadn't told anyone about that, because she hadn't received it. Yet, the locker room was quiet. Too quiet. Caitlin sat there, jersey drenched, hair dripping with sweat, as the reporter's question echoed in her mind. "Is it true that Kobe Bryant left you a second message?" Her eyes darted to the camera, then back to the reporter. She gave the only answer she could. No comment. But inside, she was spiraling. A second message? She had never heard of a second message. The letter and video Kobe left her had changed her life, but she assumed that was it. What else could there be? And then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Meet me in the tunnel after your press duties." It's about Kobe. Caitlin's heart skipped. The tunnel, where the echoes of legends lingered. She wrapped up the interview quickly, nodding, smiling, thanking reporters. But her mind was elsewhere. She slipped through the back hallway, down the concrete tunnel beneath the arena. Her footsteps were the only sound, until a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Marco. Again, only this time. He didn't greet her with a smile. He looked unsettled. "You weren't supposed to know," he said quietly. "Not yet." Caitlin narrowed her eyes. "Know what?" He held up a small, rectangular envelope, identical to the one she received at Mamba Academy, black with gold trim. But this time, the handwriting said only one thing. "After the fire." Marco continued. This was meant to be delivered after a moment of failure. Kobe had a rule. Only give this if you lose something you care about. Something big. Because that's when the Mamba mentality is truly tested. Caitlin blinked, confused. "Why now? I haven't lost anything." Marco met her eyes. "Not yet, but you will. And when you do, you'll need this." He pressed the envelope into her palm and turned to leave. Caitlin shouted after him, "What's inside?" Marco's voice was low as he walked away. "Your next step." For days, she didn't open it. She hid the envelope in her locker, staring at it after every game, every win, every highlight. But life was good, almost too good. Her freshman season was historic. She was setting records, sinking threes in the logo, leading Iowa to victories no one thought possible. The media dubbed her the female Steph Curry. But Caitlin didn't care about labels. She still had Kobe's words in her head. be feared, be legendary. And then it happened. March Madness. Elite Eight. They were favorites to win. The pressure was suffocating, but Caitlin was locked in, or at least she thought she was. That night, everything went wrong. Missed shots, turnovers, foul trouble, and worst of all, her confidence began to crack. The opposing team triple-teamed her. Coaches screamed. The crowd roared. The clock ticked down. They lost. And not just lost, they were eliminated. Caitlin sat in the locker room, numb. The silence was louder than any buzzer. All the dreams, all the work, gone in one night. Reporters hovered outside the door. Teammates whispered, but Caitlin didn't move until her eyes drifted toward her bag. The envelope, still unopened. She pulled it out, hands shaking. The words stared back at her like a challenge. After fire, she tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper, no flash drive, just ink, just a message. Good, you lost. Now we see what you're made of. People think the Mamba mentality is about winning. It's not. It's about how you respond when everything burns. Most players break here. They quit, they doubt, they blame. But you rebuild. Stronger, smarter, meaner. You walk back into the fire and say, light me up again. So go ahead, cry, feel it, let it burn. But tomorrow, you rise. And when you do, the world better watch out. You're not done. You're just getting started. Kobe, Caitlin sat frozen. The letter trembled in her hands. How could he have known? How could he predict this moment? The exact feeling surging through her chest. That night, she didn't sleep. She didn't eat. She just watched game film, over and over, not to blame others, but to confront her flaws. Every turnover, every bad read, every shot she shouldn't have taken. And somewhere in the quiet, between anger and tears, she felt it. The shift, the rise. She was no longer a star. She was becoming a killer. The off-season became an obsession. Caitlin locked herself in the gym. No distractions, no interviews, just sweat, pain, and purpose. Her trainers warned her to slow down. She didn't listen. Everyone's working, she'd say. I'm becoming. And when the season returned, she was different. Not just faster, not just sharper, but colder, in the best way. She dominated, not for revenge, but for legacy. And every time she sank a logo 3, she whispered under her breath, this is for you, Kobe. Then came the next national tournament. Same pressure, same cameras, same noise. But Caitlin wasn't afraid anymore. This time, she didn't just perform, she owned the court. Game after game, she racked up points, assists, highlight reels. The media couldn't keep up. One commentator said, we've never seen anything like her. She's not just rewriting the women's game, she's rewriting basketball. But Caitlin didn't care about sound bites. She had only one goal left, the championship. And just before the final game, as she laced up her shoes, she found a package in her locker. No return address. Inside, a small black wristband. Mamba Forever. Tucked underneath was a short note. No signature. He would have been proud. Finish it. Caitlin closed her eyes, took a breath, and walked into the biggest game of her life. But even as the crowd screamed and the lights blazed, she couldn't shake one thought. Who sent that package? The stadium pulsed with electricity. The national championship. A sold-out arena. Millions watching from home. And in the middle of it all stood Caitlin Clark. Shoulders square, eyes locked in, wearing a simple black wristband that whispered legacy. Mamba Forever. But this wasn't just a game. This was the moment her entire life had led to. The sleepless nights, the heartbreaks, the pain, the whispers that she was just another shooter. Tonight, she would silence them all. As the ball was tipped, the arena exploded in sound. But Caitlin heard only one voice in her head. Be feared, be legendary. The game started brutal. The opposing team was aggressive, physical, and Caitlin was double-teamed from the first possession. She missed her first 2 shots. The pressure was building. Then a steal. She intercepted a pass at half court and took off. One defender to beat. A Euro step and layup. The crowd roared. And just like that, the fire was lit. What followed was a performance of the ages. Step-back threes from the logo, thread-the-needle assists, and defense like her life depended on it. At halftime, she had 21 points, 7 assists, and 0 turnovers. The camera zoomed in as she jogged the locker room, face locked in, jaw clenched. But as she sat on the bench, her coach pulled her aside. "You've got to pace yourself, Caitlin. You can't carry the whole thing." She looked up, sweat pouring down her temple. "I'm not carrying it. I am it." The second half was a war. Her team led by 10, then 5, then trailed by 4. The momentum shifted. The crowd got tense. Caitlin was winded, legs heavy. She played every minute. And then she went down. A brutal screen blindsided her, and she hit the hardwood hard. Silence. She clutched her ankle. Trainers rushed the court. Her coach leaned in. "You need to sit, just for a few." Caitlin shook her head. "No," she whispered. "You're limping." I said no. She stood, slowly, gingerly, but she stood, because Kobe would have stood. And the crowd, they rose with her. The final minutes were chaos. Back and forth buckets. Timeout after timeout. Fans on their feet. With 19 seconds left, the score was tied. Her coach drew up a play. Everyone expected Caitlin to take the last shot, and that's exactly why she didn't. As the ball was inbound, she dribbled toward the corner, drawing a double team. With 4 seconds left, she fired a no-look pass to her teammate cutting backdoor. Layup, bucket, 2-point lead. The crowd exploded. 1 possession left, just 1 stop. The opposing team inbound the ball. Their star player sprinted to the top of the key, launched a deep 3 at the buzzer. Clank. No good. The buzzer sounded. Game over. Caitlin collapsed to her knees. National champion. As confetti fell from the rafters and her teammates celebrated, Caitlin stood alone in the center court, looking skyward. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just whispered, "We did it." And then, amid the chaos, someone approached. A woman in sunglasses, a Lakers pennant around her neck. Caitlin turned. Her heart stopped. It was Vanessa Bryant. They stared at each other for a moment that stretched into forever. Vanessa opened her arms, and Caitlin fell into them. Vanessa whispered in her ear, "You were the last one he picked. He believed in you more than anyone. And tonight, you proved him right." Caitlin broke down. In that moment, every scar, every tear, every missed shot, it all meant something. Because this wasn't just a championship. This was closure. And legacy. Later that night, long after the crowd had gone home, Caitlin walked the empty arena alone. She sat at center court and pulled out her phone. One last video waited for her in her inbox, sent from an anonymous address. She pressed play. It was grainy, clearly recorded on a phone, but the voice, unmistakable. Kobe Bryant. He looked younger, happier. Gigi was in the background shooting hoops. "If this ever reaches you, Caitlin, it means you finished it. I'm proud of you, not because you won, but because you didn't quit when it hurt. That's what makes a legend. That's what makes a Mamba. The world needed to see you, and now they have." He smiled. "Tell Gigi I said hey, and go get the next one." The screen faded to black. Caitlin stared at the phone for a long time, then placed it face down on the court. She lay back, eyes toward the ceiling. Confetti still scattered around her. For the first time in her life, she allowed herself to feel it. Peace. She had met her hero, not with a handshake, but with action. And now, it was her turn to inspire the next generation, to carry the torch, to become the voice in someone else's head whispering, "Don't dim your light." Because the moment she met Kobe Bryant, it changed everything.